Welcome back everyone to the second chapter of UAE corporate tax series. In last chapter we discussed about corporate tax journey, 9% and certain other factors, pillar 2, all these matters we have discussed. Today we are going to discuss about authorities involved in the UAE corporate tax law and what are all the documents or law published by the authority, how to read it, and in which chronological order the documents needs to be approached. This is what we are going to discuss today. Now let me start with the corporate tax law. So the corporate tax law is called Federal Decree Law number 47 of 2022. Even though the corporate tax is implemented with effect from 1st June 2023, in the previous chapter I had explained that the corporate tax law published in the year 2022, 9th December 2022. So the law number is 47 of 2022, which is corporate tax law. Now, whenever any federal decree law got published, who is approving this federal decree law? It is approved by UAE President. If you see any federal decree law, be it corporate tax or VAT or commercial company law, any other law, the primary law, it always approved by the Honorable UAE President. And UAE corporate tax law has 70 articles. Article 1 is talking about definitions. Till Article 70, there are 70 articles. If you just read the corporate tax law, will you get a clarity? No. There are other documents which is explaining about corporate tax law. Based on certain articles, what is written in the article, the cabinet, which we will discuss, the ministry, they will also, multiple authorities are coming with different explanation. And in order to get a full clarity, need to read the document in a particular order. So the primary document what we need to always refer for corporate tax is Federal Decree Law number 47 of 2022. In UAE corporate tax law, if you read, this is mainly handling who and what. These are the two aspects UAE corporate tax law is dealing. Who means what? Like who should pay tax? Example. Who should pay tax? They have explained resident should pay tax, when non-resident should pay tax. They have clearly given the guidelines of who should pay taxes. Where it is explained in Article 11 of UAE corporate tax law. Another example, who is exempt from corporate tax? This is explained in Article 4. There are certain entities who are exempt from paying taxes. In previous chapter also we just discussed about this particular matter, that who is exempt from corporate tax. We discussed government entities, government controlled entities, extraction of natural resources. There are other categories also. When we discussed about exempt person, we will discuss in detail. And what is the tax rate? Corporate tax law has explained in Article 3 what is the tax rate. The tax rate is 0%, 9%, 15% for multinational entities. All these things have explained in the UAE corporate tax law. That's why I told it is mainly handling who and what. As I explained to you, just because reading corporate tax law, we will not get any clarity. We need to refer the other documents also. After corporate tax law, the next primary document what we need to refer is cabinet decision, which is CD. Cabinet decision, actually certain decision passed by the UAE cabinet. And any cabinet decision published, it's always approved and signed by Prime Minister of UAE. So the federal decree law is approved by the UAE president and cabinet decisions are approved by the Prime Minister of UAE. Cabinet decisions primarily handling how much? So this who, what, how much, this is for just for your easy understanding. How much is the main area where cabinet decisions are handling. Now, if you read the corporate tax law, as I told, it is mentioned who will pay tax, who will not pay tax, what is the tax rate. If you see the entire corporate tax law, you will not find the 375,000 dirhams threshold. That 0%, if you read the corporate tax law article 3, it is mentioned that 0% tax will be paid by businesses who makes certain revenue. What is this certain? It is not mentioned. Over and above certain revenue, 9% will be taxed. Now, in the next paragraph, if you see, it is written free zones will pay 0% tax subject to the condition and on qualifying income. Now, what is qualifying income? What are all the conditions? Not explained. Like this, the tax law itself is not giving a full clarity, where the UAE cabinet will come in picture with more clarity. The first cabinet decision got published, which is related to corporate tax, was cabinet decision number 116 of 2022. So immediately after the corporate tax law published, the cabinet decision of 116 of 2022 also came in picture, which explained the threshold of 375. In cabinet decision 116 of 2022, it is written that 375,000 dirhams profit will be taxed at 0%, and above 375,000 dirhams it will be taxed at 9%. This is explained in cabinet decision number 116 of 2022. After that, a lot of cabinet decisions have come in picture. We will discuss as and when we progress each chapter, we will come across with many cabinet decision which got published. Just to give you another cabinet decision which is very important is cabinet decision number 49 of 2023. So the idea is not to explain the cabinet decisions. Idea is to give why cabinet decisions are important. Why only corporate tax or the corporate tax law only cannot give you a full clarity. That's the whole idea. Cabinet decision of 2023, 49 of 2023 is dealing with natural person. Who is natural person? Natural person in general we can call individuals. Everybody know that there is no personal income tax in UAE. Then why there is a particular cabinet decision for natural person? Now, from now onwards, whenever if you want to talk in a much better way or in a professional way, you should start using the word natural person and juridical person. Now, what is natural person? What is juridical person? Natural person, we always say, oh, it's an individual. Any individual who has a trade license, who has conducting some sort of a business activity in UAE, that particular angle is called natural person when it comes to the corporate tax law. Juridical person can be any incorporated entity. It can be a company, a public limited company, limited liability partnership, many things are there. So going forward, we will be always using the word natural person and juridical person, and you need to make your understanding clear that natural person we are referring individuals and those who are conducting business in the individual capacity, whereas juridical person is a registered entity. Now coming back to Cabinet Decision number 49 of 2023, in that the Cabinet has explained that when a natural person will pay UAE corporate tax. Of course, the personal income tax is not there. That doesn't mean all income generated by an individual is not falling under the corporate tax law. Certain incomes are excluded, certain incomes are included. So this decision explained a natural person conducting business in UAE earning more than AED 1 million in a Gregorian calendar year. Gregorian calendar year is nothing but the calendar year which is followed from January to December. Now let's break it down. A natural person, one individual, conducting business in UAE. Is this referred that someone who has a company in UAE and doing business through that company? No. Here it is referred a natural person or an individual who is conducting a business in the individual capacity. You can take the example of freelance permit, or you can consider sole establishments. These are the categories coming under the natural person. So if an individual who is conducting some sort of business activity, you can consider a freelance photographer or a freelance graphic designer, then that particular person is earning more than 1 million dirhams in a Gregorian calendar year. That means that natural person is subject to corporate tax. Subject to corporate tax. If you read corporate tax law has explained natural person is subject to corporate tax once the person reaches certain threshold. What is that threshold? How it is? Everything is explained in the Cabinet decision. Further, the Cabinet decision explained that while calculating the 1 million dirham revenue, three things need to be excluded. Three things need to be excluded. What are all those three things? Number one, wages. That means if a person, individual who is getting salary, that is not considered in this 1 million. Second thing, real estate investment income. Third thing, personal investment income. We will discuss this in detail when we are discussing maybe in the fourth chapter when we discuss about taxable persons. But this is just to get an initial understanding. So any individual who is getting wages, salary, that is not subject to corporate tax. Any individual who is having some sort of investment in real estate and that person is getting, let's say, rental income, or the person is selling the property, the person is getting some sort of gain when the property got sold, or any personal investments can be in stocks, bonds, crypto. These three things are not considered in the 1 million threshold. Apart from these three, if an individual who is getting any income from UAE, it is considered as business activity. If that particular business activity income exceeds 1 million dirhams in a year, then that individual is subject to corporate tax. This is what explained in Cabinet Decision number 49 of 2023. So the first is corporate tax law, which is Federal Decree Law number 47 of 2022. Then we need to refer what Cabinet has decided on this particular article. Then we will get a more clarity. Now comes the third authority or the third document, which is called Ministerial Decision. Ministerial Decision, we can make it short form MD. Ministerial decision mainly dealing with to understand how to. So corporate tax law is explaining what and who, cabinet decision is handling how much, and ministerial decision is explaining how to. Ministerial decision is signed by Ministry of Finance. Ministry of Finance, and of course it is signed by the minister. Whoever is the Ministry of Finance minister, that person is signing the ministerial decision. First ministerial decision published relating to corporate tax was Ministerial Decision number 43 of 2023, which explained who is or who has exception from registration for corporate tax. So this particular ministerial decision, which was the first ministerial decision which is relating to corporate tax, that explained who is not required to register. In that they explained that the government entity who are acting in the sovereign capacity, government controlled entities, and certain other entities like they are not required to register for corporate tax. Apart from any the entity which is explained in Ministerial Decision 2023, no need to register. Apart from that, every entity has a requirement to register for corporate tax. Whether they will pay taxes or not, it's a different situation. It depends on their tax position, whether they are making profit or loss. Even if they make profit, maybe if it is below 375, they will not pay taxes. Even if they make profit above 375, still they will pay no taxes. Maybe they are eligible for 0% tax under the free zone benefits, or they are eligible under the small business relief, which we discussed in the first chapter. But registration is mandatory. Now, one more ministerial decision we will discuss regarding that, which was Ministerial Decision number 229 of 2025. We are going to have detailed discussion about this ministerial decision in the future session. This is just to give an idea like how ministerial decision works. Ministerial decision handling 229 of 2025 explained that 0% tax we discussed for free zone. There are a lot of conditions. Which activity? Which activities are eligible for 0% corporate tax? This is what explained in Ministerial Decision number 229. There are 14 activities they have explained: manufacturing, processing, distribution of goods or material from designated zone, trading of qualifying commodity, holding of shares. There are 14 activities. No need to think of it now. We will discuss it separately. Now this is about Ministerial Decision 229 of 2025. Then comes Federal Tax Authority. Federal Tax Authority generally issue 3 documents. First document is Public Clarification. So the federal decree law is there. Cabinet is making some decisions on the particular article of this corporate tax law, which further explained by like Ministry of Finance through ministerial decision. These are the 3 authorities and the documents they published, we can consider it as a law. Anything from the federal decree law, cabinet decision and ministerial decision. These 3 documents we can consider as a law. Now whatever we are going to discuss now onwards, the documents which are issued by Federal Tax Authority, who are not the lawmakers, but they are the law executors. So their role is that to give more clarity practically on the tax law. Certain decisions which are not clear, the Federal Tax Authority will come up with the further clarification, guides and all these things. Whatever Federal Tax Authority is publishing, please make your understanding very clear that it's not a law. It's just a clarification given. Anything, any kind of conflict is there, then always the law prevail. The decree law, cabinet decision and ministerial decision. Now, Federal Tax Authority issues public clarification, which is for the public. And this document is free. There is no need to pay anything. It is available in the public domain. If I give certain one or two public clarification just for the discussion purpose, FTA had issued one public clarification on registration deadline. So when UAE introduced corporate tax, like they told like all the entities should register, and the authority specified that there are certain deadlines which need to be followed by all the entities. Now, there were a lot of questions. If I give an example to you, in the decision it was mentioned that any entity like which is registered in UAE, they need to follow the deadline based on the trade license issuance. Now there was a confusion that the trade license was not issued for offshore companies. If you see any offshore companies registered in UAE, offshore companies can be registered primarily in 3 jurisdictions. One is in Ras Al Khaimah, which is Rakai CC, and Jebel Ali offshore and Ajman offshore. They had no trade license. Then the confusion came like, because they don't have trade license, how to determine their deadline for corporate tax registration. FTA came up with the public clarification. The second document is FTA Decisions. FTA publish decisions on certain aspect and they put it in the public document, and this is also available for public and the document is free. Just give an example to you on the FTA decision, that when there were like, you know, again the corporate tax registration deadline came, many companies missed the corporate tax registration deadline, and there was a penalty of 10,000 dirhams for those who missed the deadline. There FTA came up with the decision, because it is the first year of tax and the government want to support to the authority. FTA came up with the decision that the penalty can be waived off, waive off penalty if the business submit their first tax return within 7 months. Generally, the deadline for submitting the tax return and making the tax payment is 9 months. Now, the FTA told, if you submit your first tax return not within 9 months but within 7 months, then this penalty of 10,000 dirham will be waived off. This is a decision published by FTA. Now, this is about FTA decisions. And the third document is FTA guide. FTA guide is mainly giving a full clarity on certain scenario with lot of examples, case studies. They explain, like if you see corporate tax law, let's take a particular segment which is free zone. Free zone is discussed mainly in 2 articles. Now there is a cabinet decision. Cabinet decision is there. I'll give a holistic view on, let's take an example, free zone. Free zone is, there are 2 major articles which is in the corporate tax law, 2 articles. Then there is a cabinet decision published, which is cabinet decision number 100 of 2023. This explained what are all the conditions for a free zone to get 0% corporate tax. Then there is a ministerial decision. Previously it was 265 of 2023. They cancelled it and they came up with new ministerial decision, which is 229 of 2025. they added few activities into the list and they got updated the document. Then came FTA guide. Now FTA guide is consolidating all the federal decree law, cabinet decision and ministerial decision, and it's giving a full picture with a lot of examples. All I think it's a 160 or 150 page document which is explaining exclusively on the free zone taxation. Now comes a separate document which is called private clarification. Private clarification is a facility from Federal Tax Authority that if any business has any particular question in terms of applicability of tax to their business, they can approach FTA with that question and explain to them that we are coming across such a situation and we are not sure about how this treatment we can do in our company. They can submit their question and FTA will take a certain time to analyze and respond to the queries, and they will issue a private clarification. This private clarification is only applicable to that business. So it's not a public document. If you applied a private clarification and you got a decision from FTA, I cannot copy that decision for my business. That particular decision is only for your business and it's not a free service. There is 1500 dirhams AED applicable as a fee for any private clarification submission. How you need to approach the entire tax framework in an order. So first what you will refer the CT law, which is Federal Decree Law number 47 of 2022. Then you will see, is there any cabinet decision published which is relating to this particular article in the law. Further you will see ministerial decision. Is there any ministerial decision on this particular clarification issued by ministry. Further you will see refer if there is any FTA decision. FTA has published any decision on a certain aspect, and FTA Public Clarification, and finally FTA Guides. This is the exact order when you approach the tax, corporate tax in UAE, you need to follow. It's not only for corporate tax. Even if you are taking, let's say, VAT or excise tax, you need to follow the same thing. VAT has a Federal Decree Law number 8 of 2017, and they issued, there is a lot of cabinet decision relating to VAT. Ministerial decisions are there, FTA decisions are there, public clarifications are there, guides are there. So any tax, be it VAT, corporate tax or excise tax, this is the chronological order you need to follow to read and understand the document. I hope you got a better clarity on the aspect what we are discussing. The whole idea of today's session is to give you an understanding that what is law, what is not a law, how to approach the law, how to read the particular, if you get any doubt, in which order you need to see. Let's say if you are directly reading the guide which is published by Federal Tax Authority and making your judgment on that particular guide, it may not work. If that guide is, of course, on a day-to-day basis, you can use guide. Ultimately, Federal Tax Authority is the authority who is executing the tax law. They are the the FTA is the authority who will come for audit. FTA is the authority who will put assessment. So it's not that we should ignore the documents which are published by Federal Tax Authority. But on the other side, this one point everyone need to keep in mind: the documents published by Federal Tax Authority is not a law. So today we will keep it very small, sweet, just to give the understanding about the different authority and the document. Now in next session what we are going to discuss, we are going to discuss about accounting profit versus tax profit. Accounting profit versus tax profit. We will discuss in the next chapter to give a bit understanding what it is. Taxes are always calculated on tax profit. When we finalize the accounting for a company, what we are getting is accounting profit. Now, let's say a company has 1 million in terms of revenue. They have 500,000 expense and they have 500,000 profit. This is called accounting profit. Now, is the corporate tax is directly applicable on accounting profit? No, it is applicable on the tax profit. How to arrive from accounting profit to tax profit is the entire corporate tax. But in next chapter, what we are going to discuss is what is accounting profit, what is tax profit, how the reconciliation is happening. This is what we are going to discuss. And as usual, I am going to post 3 questions in the comment box. Please make sure that whatever you are understanding, you are answering to the question, and let's see how many of you are getting it correctly. See you in the next chapter. Till then, bye bye, take care.